from NPR. We are all Jimmy Kimmel. What late night hosts are saying about Kimmel's suspension. Well, I'll give you the gist. Stephen Colbert basically doubled down. He showed on his show the clip of Jimmy Kimmel saying the shooter was effectively MAGA. And then he goes, is that it? What's wrong with that? Like, he's just being Jimmy Kimmel. That's totally fine. And I think what Colbert is doing, I think he's trying to get fired. His show is already canceled. He's already super rich. He doesn't need to do this anymore. His ratings are in the gutter. Could you imagine? Jimmy Kimmel's only getting 129,000 in the key demo? Dude. I got to be completely honest. If you are like a college age dude, you're Gen Z, and you finally reach that point where your podcast, every day you're doing an hour-long podcast, you're cracking 129,000, you're going like, this is amazing. Because if you're getting 129K on a podcast in the key demo, you are making money on that podcast. I mean, you're probably making like $500,000 a year with proper sponsorships and all that stuff. You don't always sell, sometimes you do. So you're Gen Z, you're like, this is fantastic. But when you're someone like Jimmy Kimmel and you're worth tens of millions and you're watching your ratings just plummet, I'm sure he's got to be having an existential crisis. Colbert, I should say, more to this point. Colbert used to get millions, and now the ratings are just in the gutter. And while he's still getting like $1.5 million to $2 million in the retiree demographic, I'm not trying to disrespect retirees, key demo is gone. At a certain point, don't you just take a look at the numbers and go, well, it was good while it lasted. You know, there were bands that put out 2 albums and they're on the top and then you never hear from them again.
Yep.
So Colbert, I think, is basically like, they canceled the contract, but I'm stuck here. I'm stuck here until the next 8 months. I know. He can't violate the morality clause in his contract overtly because then they'll just come after him for money. But if he pokes a bear quite a bit, then they might just be like, all right, Colbert, you're off the air. And he go, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, look, the whole, I'm going to double down, and I've got, he had the story that he's had a more inflammatory monologue to give the second day that after he initially kind of, offended people. That kind of makes me think that you might have a point, because, look, it was clear that like the first things that he said, while they were distasteful, they weren't really like going after either the voters or Charlie Kirk himself. It was definitely poking at Trump, which is, standard fare for Jimmy Kimmel. But if he was going to do a monologue going after, the MAGA voters, essentially, which is basically most of the Republicans nowadays, the vast majority at least, that I understand why they would be like, yo, we don't want this, So maybe he did have a.
I think Colbert's
I'm going to say it, and if it ends up killing my employment here, that's fine.
Yeah. Colbert's legacy right now is he fizzled out and fell apart. Mm-hmm. If he gets fired overtly and his show is taken off the air abruptly, then he's going to start doing the rounds and go to the liberal circuit and be like, look at Trump, he's a fascist. This proves it.
Yeah, well, I think he's like envious that Kimmel in and of himself has become like a wedge issue now, and he's like, that should have been me.
That's true.
I got pulled first.
Exactly. Colbert's show they announced they were terminating the contract, but they're keeping him on the air, so it's not that big a deal. And then Kimmel gets yanked at the last minute, and Colbert's like, I have to imagine, how old is Colbert? Like 70?
Yeah, he might be. There's a lot of hair dye going on.
70 years old.
How old is he? Let's find out. He's 61. All right, I wasn't that far off.
It's about as old as most of the people watching at this point.
They're
right?
older. Yeah. No, but for real, they're 70. It's about 70 plus. Yeah. I have to imagine when you're 61, not everybody, but a lot of people, and you're worth tens of millions. I mean, what's Colbert's net worth? Let's find out. Colbert net worth. These things are always wrong. What's the ballpark on his net worth? 75 million? Bro, don't you just want to put your feet up and sip a pina colada and, just chill? What's he doing? It's like his ratings are so down in the gutter. He's got to just be like, well, been there, done that, won his Emmys, had a massive show to the millions, and now he's fizzling out. Audience dwindling. He's worth an estimated $75 million. He can just right off into the sunset. You know, enjoy life.
Does he have big, big notes on his house? Is he living above his means?
I don't know, man. They say he's worth $75 million. It says that his salary for the Late Show with Colbert in 2015 was $6 million. And then in 2019, they signed a deal that raised his pay to $15 million, extended to May 2026.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to live like a normal person, if you have $10 million in the bank, that's plenty of money to live completely normal. If you're not living above your means, if you want to just like live like a normal person, that's enough to live like your whole life. So,
do you think he was kind of hoping that they would take his show off for saying something?
He just did it. This is just last night. I think he wants a mega backlash. He wants people to go like, you're just rebroadcasting what Kimmel said and you're lying to your audience.
Right.
So that he can get taken down and he gets paid. I mean, let me just stress, $15 million a year. One could just imagine. That's more than $1 million per month you are getting paid. He's getting like $1.3 million per month. That's what he's getting paid. I don't even know what you do with that much money. I don't think a regular human could spend that on normal things.
Well, the show's in New York, so rent.
Haha.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. Like, what do you do in this situation? Because he's outside of LA. He's got to go to LA.
I don't know what any human does with that amount of money. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like private jets, if when you're getting $1.3 million per month, you're literally you could fly. Well, to be fair, you're not. If you're a billionaire, you're flying out like Taylor Swift is flying wherever she wants on a large jet. At $1.3 million per month, you're maybe flying on the weekends anywhere you want to go, and it's not putting a dent in your money. So, I mean, if you were going to fly like round trip to Europe, it's probably $100,000. And so for Colbert, he's like, "You want to do a weekend in Prague? What do we care? 1/13 of my monthly salary."
And again, like when you have that kind of money, you've got millions invested, and the money itself that you've invested grows likely faster than you can spend it unless you're unless you're going and doing like high stakes games in Vegas all the time.
Dividends alone. This is what's crazy. So I don't have a lot invested in the stock market. Like I actually don't have even like a standard retirement account, but I have stocks, and the dividends that some of these stocks pay, you just keep buying more. Like they buy themselves. It's crazy. I can't imagine somebody who's making $1.3 million, $15 million a year. Mm-hmm. I mean, they say his net worth is $75 million. If that's properly invested in the market, it's infinite money. I think based John McCain famously said in the 2008 cycle, when he was asked how much money do you need to be wealthy, he said $7 million. And then people got all shocked and offended because they're like, "Are you kidding? If I had $1 million?" And what he was saying was, if you have $7 million in 2008 and you put that into proper wealth management, you are getting paid your annual return minus inflation will cover your standard middle class cost of living. You are truly wealthy. You don't have to work anymore. Today, based on the market expansion, you probably need something like, well, to be fair, no. I mean, even with cost of living going up, you could still feasibly at 10 million never have to work again and be rich. And I'm not talking about middle class. I'm saying rich. Yeah. You never got to work again.
You're not going to be flying private jets all the time. If you don't want to work, but at $10 million in the bank, you don't have to worry about anything. That's your FU money.
So yeah. Regardless, Colbert at this point, he's looking for a legacy, not a paycheck.
I think Colbert probably cares more about status, attention, fame. He's obviously, as you've established, not wanting for money. But I think a lot of liberals are conservatives are to some extent, but liberals are very driven by virtue signaling, by status, and yeah, I mean these are not religious people. They get that kind of feeling by doing other things. But I do like your theory that he just kind of maybe wants the show to be over because it's not doing well. And if it was canceled, he could be like, they canceled my super popular show. And, I'm kind of my own sort of martyr for my beliefs and just like not go back to doing a show because no one's going to watch it.
Yeah. Because
to be fair, I just looked up in July, he got 3 million. It's not Key Demo. Key Demo, I think he's getting 200 and something thousand, but 3 million That's a lot of, older folks.
But once the boomers die off, there's not going to be an audience for generational procession is going to get rid of some of these like forms, the whole like a late night talk show. It's done.
The apocalypse that is coming for us, because the boomers have just reached what's called the mortality shelf.
Okay.
So I think Trump's 79 now, right? We've had this conversation so many times. He's the oldest of the boomers. He was born, I think, at the earliest point at which you could be a boomer, and he is at life expectancy at 79.
Oh, okay.
So what happens now is we are going to start seeing an exponential death rate. Like the death rate for boomers is skyrocketing now because they are getting close to that age. Now I know people are living longer these days, but with the current way things are going politically, the expectation is that the mortality shelf should be the same for boomers as it has been for every generation. So right now there's about 60 million boomers, I think. And within the next 10 years, it'll drop down to 20 million. So that means all of these institutions will cease to exist in the next 10 years. Where we go, I honestly don't know. There's a lot of variables in politics and economics, but the one thing we can talk about is the housing market, which is predominantly controlled by the boomers. They own, I think, something like 60, 70% of real estate. They own something like 40% of corporate equities. Gen X has like 20%, millennials have like 5%, and Gen Z has 0%. So when boomers die, what happens to all that property?
Yeah, I mean, well, you get Trump and then, hypothetically Vance for 8 years. That's effectively no immigration for 12 years straight, and then compounded with the entire boomer housing market being freed up. I mean, it could get pretty, like, maybe Zoomers could own a house at the end of the day. I don't know. I mean, with those two factors, that seems to suggest the market
I
would
think
be great.
The housing market's going to collapse massively unless the government steps in with BlackRock and the Federal Reserve and props up the property value, which is what they might try and do, which will cause international problems because foreign countries are going to be like, this is fake. So basically the idea is boomers have multiple homes. Gen Z has none. Millennials, half of millennials have homes. 75% of Gen X have homes. The idea is that when boomers die, millennials are the ones who largely inherit those properties. But without boomers, who can buy properties? Millennials can't afford it. So a millennial who moved from St. Louis to New York to go to the big city inherits a house in St. Louis and says, I don't want to live in St. Louis. They inherit the home and their parents die and it's very sad. And they go to their lawyer and say, I just want to find someone to sell it. They get an agent. The agent lists the house. It's a $500,000 house. No one wants to buy it. Why? Millennials can't afford it. So then they say, well, just look, I'm not going to come and deal with this. There's taxes. There's bills. Just drop the price. $400,000, nobody buys it. $300,000, nobody buys it. $250,000? Some millennial says, okay, I can do $250,000. I can afford a loan on $250,000. So the housing market just collapses by some massive number overnight, and that's going to cause a shockwave around the world because of what that's going to affect. There's an alternative. Fearing an economic crisis because of the collapse of housing prices, the government says, let's have those homes be bought up, by BlackRock or other companies that are funded by the federal, that basically get free money from the Federal Reserve. So the millennial inherits the house and says, it's a $500 house, $500,000 house, list it. Nobody wants to buy it. The government says, we can't let them drop the prices. So BlackRock comes in and says, we'll buy it at $500,000. And the money came from the Federal Reserve printed out of thin air. And then that millennial has that money, and then they translate it into some other, market. And that's how they prop up the housing market and prevent the global crisis, which is what some people think is happening right now, actually.
Well, I mean, presumably, like if a Democrat won in 28, you would just get the Canada situation because, like, Canada is like 5-6 years older than us on average. They have a very old population, so they're kind of ahead of us in the death curve.
Well, that's why they're importing the rest of the world.
Right. So, I mean, like if a Democrat were to win in 28, that changes the calculus. They'll just flood the country with migrants again, and that'll keep the housing market afloat. But yeah, if Vance wins, I mean, that could totally happen.
It won't keep the housing market afloat because Honduran farmers can't afford $500,000 houses.
No.
Yeah.
Indeed. So that's why printing fake money, you'll see massive inflation. You'll see really weird things happening. I got to tell you, haven't you guys noticed how weird everything is already with people who shouldn't be making lots of money, lots of gambling?
Yeah, the gambling's really
Gambling is very strange. How are there casinos everywhere? How is it that there are people who have such disposable income at a time? Like half the country has almost no money, and it's like, I can't buy eggs. And the other half is like, let's go burn money at a casino.
Yeah.
This is
Do you
not
think there's a
sustainable.
generational sort of dynamic there. It's like the stereotype, which might be somewhat justified, of boomers gambling away, spending away their children, grandchildren's inheritance. Just as one example, I haven't been to Vegas
or Social Security.
Right? Yeah, sure. I haven't been to Vegas. I haven't been to many casinos, but I did go to the one in Charleston. You've got the Charlestown. Yes,
because there are two cities.
I'm aware. Yeah, the one close.
And they
to
both have a casino.
Do they really?
Yeah, Mardi Gras in Hollywood.
Yeah, so I went to the one in Charlestown, and it was entirely, maybe it was just because of the part of the country that it's in, but everyone was like 60, 70. So
let me think. I think you're probably right. I actually think it's probably a lot of people in their 50s, a lot of Gen X.
Okay, Gen X too. Okay.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is poker is really interesting because there's a term in poker called old man coffee. And it's just like an old guy who just sits there and never plays a hand. And then when he finally does, he's got aces.
Okay.
But there's a reason for this, and it's because, and this is kind of sad, the reason why in these poker rooms there's really old people who just sit there and never play a hand until only when they get the best one, which is fairly rare.
A social thing, or
they don't want to be lonely.
Sure.
And so these are old people who maybe they're widowers or widows, and it's rare that you see older ladies in the poker room, but they just want to hang out. They want to be around people and they want to talk, and people are talking, and they're gambling Social Security checks.
Yeah.
So it's like they come in when the check comes in for the week or whatever, they cash it, go sit in the poker room, and then the sad thing is when you, like these young guys, rounders they call them, no one really says that anymore, but people who try to make money off poker, anytime one of these guys tries to enter a hand, you jam all your chips in, they'll fold because they're not there to win money. They're there to hang out, and they don't want to risk their money.
Sure.
So only when they have the best possible hand, and then everyone kind of feels bad when the old man sits down, loses everything right away, and goes, well, I guess that's it for this week. I'll see you next time. And it's like he was there for 10 minutes.
It's pretty bleak. Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, man, he just wanted to hang out.
Better than being alone, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think even younger people are getting one-shotted with gambling now because the sports betting is everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking of kind of the traditional, like you go, you sit down, you do slots, you do poker, whatever. But yeah, sports gambling it's huge.
It's getting out of control.
Dude. Come on, bro. You're Gen Z, right? $20 in the right parlay, and you're a millionaire.
True, like a 30-leg parlay. All right, so Luka Doncic needs to sneeze in the third quarter, and this hits, guys. Just trust me.
I actually have a friend who's a millionaire from playing on one of those big sites, but he sits in front of spreadsheets for like 12 hours a day. So
I bet he's doing arbitrage, though. Are you familiar with sports betting arbitrage?
No.
So the basic idea is, I'm going to butcher this, but because I don't know too much about it, but if sports betting website A has like the odds are, +1, or it's like -100, +100, whatever. And then the other site, it's slightly inverted. If the numbers are right between two different sites, you are guaranteed to win. So if you're like, if I put $1 here and $1 here and my input is $2, but based on the odds, I'll win either $3 or $2, I can't lose. And then so people sit in front of sports betting websites and waiting to find these, and then they make bets. And the thing is, these are different companies, so they don't know what you're doing on other websites and what your bets are, and you just get free money. Yep.
It's like totally ruining sports though, because it's like all the athletes know, like they all know, they're all like winking at each other and everything. I mean, you can see some compilation. I won't say the specific players, but you can see compilations of players that like definitely knew they needed to like score in the conventional basket, and they would just put up a shot at the end of the game for no reason because they
didn't. This just happen? Like some college guys were betting on themselves.
There was two NBA players that got like busted by the feds, I think, over, like, it was a big deal.
It seems like such a dumb thing to do. Like, how do you not know you're going to get caught doing?
I know, yeah, and they make it so obvious. It's like they're up by 30 at the end of the game, and he just throws like a half-court shot. Yeah, so and it's also like ruining the viewership experience because they're throwing numbers. It's like I'm doing calculus when I'm trying to just watch like bowling.
Yeah, you're glued to your phone when you should be watching. I say that as a non-sports fan, but yeah, I could see that.
Maybe we need some kind of authoritarian fascistic regime to come in and tell everyone to stop gambling. I'm joking, by the way, but like I'm thinking about these casinos where people with excess cash have nothing to do with it, so they just sit there going like at the slot machine.
Yeah, it's bleak when you watch other people play slots like by themselves. Like poker, you could have a good time playing poker.
It
you play
seems
with
like
your friends.
a game when all you're doing is just sitting there doing this.
And it's like it's a dopamine thing too, because a lot of this stuff's digital, so it's kind of like being glued to your iPhone, but instead you're just like losing money and touching
what it
buttons.
is.
Yeah,
people want to see miracles. That is
part of
that
it?
is the casino. That's it. And when so I'm a big poker player. Not going to pretend to be super good or anything, especially because I'm doing this poker game coming up, and I'm just going to pretend like I'm really bad because I don't want to get embarrassed. I probably am really bad. I'll just leave it at that. No, I'm probably okay, I guess. But the videos that go viral in poker are when someone should win but loses. And I was sitting there watching, like, every video you see, it's like some guy's a really good hand, the other guy's a bad hand, and then they both are like, I'm all in, and they shove their money in. And then at the very last card, the river, the guy with the crappy hand turns around and wins, and everyone's screaming and cheering, and I'm like, I hate that. Every player hates that.
Yeah.
You know, when you get in and you're behind, you're just hoping the miracle happens and dumb luck saves you, but it's like you're in trouble. But people love watching the rarities occur. And I think the reason they like slot machines, they don't make money doing it. You can't.
Sure.
It's because they want to see that rare moment to happen.
There's a guy in Las Vegas who literally just does that with a line of people that are out the door, and they all come and give him money to gamble, and he just keeps running the slot and with a video on his phone for when the one person makes that content, so he can post the content of the person in the video. It's crazy.
What?
Wildest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but it's a real thing.
Because they want to be like, hey, I delivered that miracle. I made that miracle
literally
happen.
exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like the chance of hitting the unicow in Planet Moolah is like 1 in 1 million, and people want to see the unicow.
Yep.
That's a real thing. I'm not making that up.
I said, sure. I have no idea what that is a reference to.
There's a game in casinos called Planet Moolah.
Okay.
Where the aliens are cows.
Okay.
And when you hit the button, the symbols all fall down, and there's an extremely rare chance, I don't know the actual number, it's not 1 in a million, that a unicow appears. It's a cow with a unicorn horn, and the game goes nuts, and you win a ton of money.
That sounds kind of sick. Yeah, I'd want to see that.
I
I don't know if I'd pay like hundreds of dollars for hours to see it.
Go on YouTube, and you can watch the video of someone else doing it.
I can see the unicow.
And it's got 1 million
Yeah.
views.
Okay.
And what's crazy is you've got gambling influencers now who don't care if they lose gambling because they're going to get 500,000 views on the video.
Oh yeah,
and,
I've seen
and
some
sell
of that.
sponsorships.
Yeah, definitely.
Wild. We are a dying civilization. I'm sorry. That's why I'm like, Elon, save us, because he's building rockets to go to Mars, and it's just like, is that the only thing that's actually being done towards advancement of human civilization?
It does feel like we're swirling the drain when you go to like any town, and the only businesses that are new are like weed shops and like vape stores and everything. It's just like, and everything, and there's sports gambling. Sorry to sound like a Scrooge, but it's like,
There's an aspect to decline that like you can't really quantify. That it's almost like an aesthetic phenomenon. You just
Yeah.
kind of see it, and you're like, this just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, Tate, there are Dollar Generals there, bro. Come on. There's a brand new Dollar General.
Look, I've been known to frequent a Dollar General here and there, so
Yeah.
I won't get onto that.
I see Dollar Trees around there.
There's
They're
nothing
new.
wrong with the
There's
the
nothing
dollar
wrong
show.
with the dollar, but it's like
Come on.
just everything. It's
said
just
new stores.
uglier and worse, and I'm just like,
I went to one in El Salvador. They've been on the dollar since
Whoa.
the early 2000s, so they got Dollar General down there.
nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's go.
The dollar stores are no longer a dollar anymore.
Oh yeah, I went in there. That's like $5 now.
Yeah,
like,
they
what's
have,
the
like-
point?
Yeah, they're $1.50s. But
And more
So,
sign of civilizational
I
decline.
know it's over. It's actually over when that happens.
So I can't actually search on Google for these, but have you driven down the road and counted how many hotspots there are? You know what a hotspot is?
So
They're bars with slot machines, and the windows are blacked out because you're not legally allowed to. You cannot be slot machines and alcohol can't be visible from the street. So all of these, there are buildings over here. It's crazy, dude. They look like abandoned buildings with no windows, and then you'll just see a door with an open sign, and you're like, "There's no name. The business has no name. There's no real parking lot." And there'll be like 2 or 3 cars, and you'll watch a guy walk up and like press a button. It'll open. It'll go in, and you'll be like, "What is this?" You'll go there. It is a dark room with a bar and a wall of slot machines and old people just tapping away. There's probably within 10 minutes of here, 10 of them.
Wow.
You drive down the road out here and you will drive past like 15. And it's like, and so it's nuts. Some of them are houses.
I guess slaying the dragon in World of Warcraft just doesn't have the same dopamine as.
I mean, if you're 60, you don't know how to do that.
that's one of those things where if you showed someone from the 1950s that, they would be like, "That's the dystopian future." Like we're all sitting around like trying to like hypothesize what that would look like. It would be that they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's horrifying.
The only
it's over. It's over
the only
for you guys."
difference is they're not in they're not in the pod. doing
Right.
it while they're
Or in a
plugged
storage
in.
container in West Virginia.
It doesn't even seem like
Exactly right.
it doesn't even seem like a fun form of degeneracy too.
None.
It's like,
No,
you
yeah.
think about people, back in the 50s or any time period, just like getting rowdy in a bar or something. It's like, all right, like you're with other people, you're having a good time, you're laughing, you're talking, but yeah, just sitting in front of a slot machine and drinking is, it's bleak. Yeah.
Imagine like back in the day, the old degenerate bar where there's like a stripper, some guys in suits, loud music. There's like a jazz band playing while like a woman shaking her ass, and then the dudes are playing high stakes 5-card draw, and then one guy's like, "You're cheating!" He slams a gun on the table, and everyone's losing their mind. Now you walk in, and it's just slot machines. Here's the best part: some of these places, there's a stage that used to be where the stripper would be, and it's just people sitting at slot machines.
Yeah.
And it's funny because some of these clubs, it'll say like the name of the company. I don't want to call any specific place out, but it'll be like John's, and then it'll say the sign will be like this, and it'll be like blank club, because they slapped a big white piece of plastic over the word gentleman. They ain't even going to strip clubs anymore. They're just slot machines. And what's crazy is, I'm talking about West Virginia. I went home to Chicago for the holidays. They're everywhere.
Wow.
Every bar's got slot machines. I'm like, dude. And the argument they made is, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys, you open the door, you let the demons in. The argument was, it's just video lottery. They basically argued that this isn't gambling in the casino sense. We sell scratchers. This is the exact same thing, but it's digital. So now slot machines are just lottery locations.
I think part of the reason why people don't go to the strip clubs anymore, it's probably got something to do with the fact that 75% of America is overweight.
Well, like, what is the? I've never.
There's some correlation.
Yeah.
I think it's because Gen Z. There's two reasons. Gen
they're
Z
fat.
guys, Gen Z guys are going to church.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to a strip club.
True.
And then Gen Z girls are fat. And nobody wants to see that.
That's right.
Right. It's just like
And feminism tells them that, hey, look, just, go ahead and be your best self with
To be fair,
40
that
slices of pizza a day.
porn is free, so
yeah.
Right.
People are just staying inside. I think most forms of socialization have declined.
Yeah.
Like younger people are drinking less too. And yeah, maybe some faction of them are being a little more traditional, but I think a lot of them are just like sitting at home and just like on the
It's
computer.
like
or
I might
something.
if I go to the strip club, I might have to look the stripper in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
Like, yeah, I'm a bit of a traditional old
Social
school
anxiety.
kind of guy. I go to strip clubs, I drink, I do drugs. It's like these are all very old school traditional
I wouldn't
American values.
advocate for any of that, but that is clearly better than some of like the new forms of degeneracy where you're just like, if you want to talk about the shooter and like the video games,
Your religious friends, I would rather hang out with dudes that go to strip clubs than dudes that think they're chicks.
yeah.
So true.
I think most religious people would say neither is ideal, but they would agree with
they're
you.
like,
right?
look,
Yeah.
all right, let's
have a point.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.